Wash your hands, don't touch your face, wipe things down, clean up your space. When you cough and sneeze, do responsibly. If you feel you're getting ill, isolate at home and chill. No, you're not alone. Please pick up your phone and call 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health Community Radio Station will provide you with more information. Say Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. I'm Granville Emerson along with my partner,
Ronald Pepe Bean.
And we host the show Lidline Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, where we talk about football, basketball,
Local sports,
national sports, Seahawks,
UW,
Seattle U Redhawks,
Garfield Bulldogs.
all that and more right here on Lidline Sports on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
This is the news on Rainier Avenue Radio. Washington will focus its vaccination efforts on second doses, working to restore the balance between administering initial shots and reaching those who need to complete their full immunization course. According to the State Department of Health, healthcare providers requested 170,000 second doses for the week ahead, nearly twice the 92,325 allotted in federal shipments. As a result, the state will tap shipments meant for first doses to help make up the difference. Patch.com reports that there is a delay in vaccine deliveries due in part to President's Day and ongoing weather concerns in the state and across the United States. Officials said that their two issues together will make first dose appointments sparse, and some who already have appointments may be asked to reschedule. And that's your news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Check us out on social media. Facebook and Instagram, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, and on Twitter at Rainier Ave Radio.
All right, we are live. It is high noon on Thursday. This is Seattle Sports Weekly. I'm your host, Mazvita Maraire. Lars Hanson will be joining us. And today, we got a special guest. We got things going on. You know, we got some cool, important, talented people coming on. Jordy Delem from the Seattle Sounders will be joining us. He is also a national friend. Well, not French national. We'll talk to him about that a little bit. What the deal is? He's from Martinique national, and yet they're part of the French. And that's why you have people on so they can kind of decipher what's going on. Speaking of deciphering what's going on, my guy Lars Hanson, what's really going on, as they say in the hood?
That's actually a really good question because there's a lot going on in the hood, shall you say, if I'm allowed to say that, right?
Well, your hood, my hood, the hood, right? Everybody's got a hood, right? but there's the hood. And depending on whether you live on D Block or whether you live on 23rd and Cherry, or, you live in the Valley, who knows? I'm going to leave all that alone. You know what just reminds me? I'm going to put this down. Speaking of the hoods, we got to bring on Roydell Smiley. He's not called Roydell Smiley anymore. Gap Smiley is what he calls himself. You know who that is?
I don't, actually. I'm curious to know. This guy sounds intriguing already, though.
Oh, see, there you go. He played at Garfield High School basketball. Then he went to USC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, that's why you don't know what happens in the hood.
Okay, you know who lives in my hood, though, actually, coincidentally?
You're in West Seattle.
Yes, local basketball, very influential with the youth.
Okay. There's a lot, but I'm going to say Donald Watts. I'm.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, Mr. Watts. Yep. I actually saw him yesterday. I was walking the dog. He just drove past me, gave me a little look as I walked by, and he's always a good guy just to run into. He's always doing something in the air. He's always got the truck with the Watts symbol on it. He's a good dude.
Yeah, I've always asked him. I asked him for the boat. He has yet to let me use it. You know what I mean? I was like, Donald, just let me take it out for half a day or something, non-seafair day. And he gives me that look like, okay, yeah, good luck with that. So, no, he does. He's always training. He's part of he's down there in Soto. Right by the Mariners garage. Something we'll talk about later. The Mariners garage. That was quoted too. In the Kevin Mather. Speaking of the garage. But anyways, Soto Gym is right there, and so that's where he trains all kinds of players, boys, girls. All it's incredible. So
all ages.
Yeah. And so, and we will talk about the Mariners. There's no doubt about that. And we'll get to what's happening and later on. But like we said, we're going to have Jordy on in a little bit. And, man, again, if we go to the employer, did you hear the latest today about the Athletic and the article that came out?
By Mr. Michael Sean Digar.
Is it Michael Sean? I didn't. I guessed.
So it was him and Jason Jenks had a combined piece. It was a co-authored piece.
Good. Because my guy, I gotta. I actually, it was an NFL Network is when this who brought up and said the Athletic said so, and there was nothing new there, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's actually. I think that was Michael Sean's tweet. Was like, hey, this is nothing exactly new, but the lead was how did we get here? How did the Seahawks and Russell Wilson get to this point? And Michael Sean and Jason are involved in the piece. It's going to be a home run piece. So, and it was.
Yeah, no, that's our guy, and he does a really good job of little young buck. Here's interesting. I went to high school with his dad. Really? We got done with the press conference, and he goes, "Do you know such and such?" And I'm like, "Yeah, such and such." And I was like, "Okay." He is. We went to high school together. So, look, we have our special guest, and we're going to go right to him. We're so honored to have Seattle Sounder midfielder and Martinique international Jordy Delem. Sir, let's bring him on. Hello, thank you for coming on. How are you, sir?
Hey, thank you for the invite. I'm very good, and you?
We're good. We're going to go all over the map, but I'm going to start with anything happened during the off season?
Sorry. Hey, Lars. Sorry. Yes, there was some good stuff in the off season. I stay fit,
Let's go back to the ring, sir. So now I'm from Zimbabwe, and in our culture, you have to do the whole Ebola and all of that thing. So, what was that like for you in terms of because you got married? Can you, without telling your personal business, can you just tell us the process and all, how that went?
Thanks God, it went well. We got some problem because at the beginning, it was supposed to be in our friend backyard, and with the storm and thing, we have to switch the plan. But at the end of the day, it was good. It went good. The most important thing for me was to bring my family here, and also thanks God they were able to come. So that's all good.
Yeah. Well, that must have been congratulations. Yeah, that's
thank you.
Given COVID times and travel and all of that. So that must have been an achievement.
Mm-hmm.
And your family, Now this is we're gonna start like so. I'm trying to figure out Martinique is island.
Yeah.
You play on their team, but it's French and it's not part of FIFA. What's going on?
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated. It's a French department, but for some reason, the French Federation they don't want yet us to be part of FIFA. Maybe because they have our players and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, we are not part of FIFA yet, and we cannot play the big international competition. We can only play Gold Cup. So for us right now, that works. But we wish we can be part of the FIFA to play more. And yeah, and it's a Caribbean island, not too far to Jamaica, Trinidad, and it's a nice, beautiful island.
It is beautiful. I went on Google and looked at and man, seaside and you know and the oceans there. So well, we can get right into it. What was that adjustment coming from the nice sunshine to the rainy Seattle in 2016 when you signed up for Seattle?
For me, it was a big change, because it's two different cultures. But the good thing is Seattle have a lot of good people. They help me to like be good, feel like home. And now I'm totally at home, and I am happy I made this step.
Yeah. So just to go back to the CONCACAF and FIFA. So could you play for the French national team with Pogba and Anthony Martial? I mean, are you eligible to play with or
I
no?
mean, I could, yeah, but there is a lot of players. They are looking most likely in Europe and stuff. So, but I could, yeah.
Okay, so I'm not trying to start any controversy. So
No,
there's a
no.
chance that maybe in Qatar we could see that Jordy Delem gets invited to the French camp. Wow.
No, that would be good, but I don't think there is any chances right now. It would be better to see Martinique play in Qatar. Yeah, that would be nice.
There you go. But you don't have any political aspirations to be a politician and get Martinique. Right now you're concentrating on your soccer, correct?
Yes, not at all. Politics is not my thing.
You're a smart man. Let's go to the just the Sounders. So you came in 2016.
Mhm.
What was that like? Because if I remember, 2016, you started with S2, correct?
Yep.
And you played games as a right back and a center back. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Interesting.
I mean, sorry, in national team, I'm playing center back. But when I came in 2016, it was Ezra, he was coach, and he saw me play in Martinique, and right away he wanted me for his team, so S2. And I play almost all the year center back, and for me, it was to prove that I can play. And I talked to Ziggy too at one moment of the season, and he was like, if you make a good season, if you have good games, we're gonna make you sign for the first team the following year. Unfortunately, he wasn't there anymore, but there was Smith who were believing in me, and here I am.
Yeah, it's interesting that Sounder organization. I'll go to Costco. I haven't seen him for 6 months, but there's been a couple times I'm at Costco, and I'm trying to grab my little, this, that, and the other. I won't tell you what I buy, and there's Ezra. You know what I mean? Right? Just a normal guy.
I mean,
But
he's a nice, simple guy, to be honest.
there's just something about that organization. I think it starts with Adrian. It's just this is more of a question. It seems like a simple organization when you interact with the people, but it's one of the biggest clubs in Major League Soccer,
It is, and I don't know if it's simple like at the base, but they are making it simple. Since I came there, they did everything to help me grow, feel good, like I say. At the beginning, I took like some English classes with the French guy who was there. That was very helpful. And except that, there is Grant Clark. We are a very nice guy. And as long as he can help, he's ready to do everything. But he's like the organization, they are ready to do everything for the players. And that's something like I love about Saunders.
Yeah. And then in terms of going back to 2016, Ziggy, I remember that they bring on this guy, Brian, local boy, Brian Smetzer. He takes over, and he played high school here.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of another simple guy, but he comes on, and then 2017 signed with the team, and then what was that like when you started training 2017 with the first team?
I mean, I was like a versatile player. I could play right back, central back, midfield. And when I signed, there was like no right back. Everybody was injured, suspended. So it was like, I'm going to sign you because I know you have some potential. But I will love for you to start at right back right now because we have nobody and we need someone. And nice guy that I am, I was like, of course, there is no problem. As long as I can play, that works for me. And I start from there. I got some good game. Obviously, it's not my position, but I try to help the team. And I think it was pretty good at some time.
Well, yeah, it had to obviously have been a good move because they kept you and kept you playing. And not only are you, one of the nicest guys, you're obviously one of the most talented players. And I'll say this and you don't have to react to it because, I know how players are. They don't want to talk about themselves. But I would say for the fans, the most underrated player, not by the organization, obviously, but it seems your talents are underrated. And that just shows how you could play right back. So when you played center back and midfield, defensive midfielder, the difference in those positions, was it a difficult change for you or not?
Right back, yeah, because I was discovering this position. But I'm ready to help the team whenever I have to play. So I had to learn, obviously, still in midfield too. But from center back and midfield is not really different. I mean, it's different, obviously, but not that much. The change wasn't that big because I used to play too in midfield in my national team. And of course, we have more talented player in Seattle, so it was pretty easy to be good with the team.
Yeah, and so we got Jordy Delem. Some, those that are listening and the ones that are watching can see that Seattle Sounder all-around player. But right now he's a defensive midfielder on with us here on Seattle Sports Weekly, and Lars Hanson. Your style is a defensive midfielder. Is it fair to say you're a disruptor?
I can say that. Yeah, I can say that. Yeah. And I will talk about that. I love to defend. I love to tackle and do stuff like that. But I know also I have to improve in my offensive game to make a step forward. So that's my goal for this year.
Do you follow the Seahawks in NFL, watching the games?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. There's a guy there. He doesn't play there now. His name is Cam Chancellor. Mm-hmm. And they call him Boom Boom. The way that Cam played that position to me is how you play, because not only do you tackle, you disrupt the play.
Yeah. Yeah. Some teams, most of the team, you need guys like that to do the dirty work. So I'm ready for it.
Yeah, and you're good at it. And you played with Ozzy, another one of those guys, right? And what was that like playing, because that's a similar – how, when you guys talked, what were some of the similarities you guys like to do?
First, we came from the island because he came from Cuba too. So, of course, we've been in touch since I get there. But to be honest, he's a really nice guy. and he was a really nice player too. And I learned a lot from him. He has a lot of experience. He was helping the young guys, and he was totally a model for me.
Jordy, in that disruptor role, I mean, how much? I mean, you have to be physical, but you also have to be really smart in watching the ball, because if you miss and you mistime it,
Yeah,
it's a yellow card, and that's not good.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's kind of, I would say, subtle, because like you say, you have to know and you have to be sure of what you're gonna do. But also, you cannot only focus on this wall, because once you get the ball, you should know what you're gonna do. And it's why I say, like, I have to improve my offensive game, like when I get the ball, to move more forward and help the team.
And that's the transition game seems to be something that soccer as a whole is doing more and more, right? Just in terms of not only is it getting the ball, but is really turning that into an offensive threat, right?
Yeah, everybody else should know now what to do with the ball and help the team offensively. You now have to do both defense and also attack.
Yeah. And so this off season, we'll kind of go back to what were some of the things you worked on? Was it physical weights, or how did you get ready for the upcoming season?
First of all, we have to get some good rest, because physically and mentally this season was very heavy. But when you love sport, you cannot stay too long without do anything. So I was like staying sharp, working on my tactical touch with the ball, and staying fit, running, biking, but not too much to be ready at time for the season.
Do you do any film study, or is that more during the regular season? Each different player, each different sport. How much do you do that at all, or is it not done?
When the season is on, we do it like very often. We have to analyze our game before, after, get ready for the next opponent, the next team. So that's a lot of video. But after, when the season is done, I mean, personally, I kind of like watch back my clips, watch what I did great, and watch obviously what I can improve on.
For our fans that are listening, right, since we've got you here, a typical day, let's say it's Tuesday, right? You had a game on Sunday. I don't know if you have Monday off. So Tuesday, just generally, what is a full day for Jordy Delem and the Sounders on that Tuesday?
Pretending we have a game, so we have Monday off. So Tuesday we go back at practice. We have some regen, some ice bath, some massages sometime. But we start with video, analyzing the game, see what we did good, we did bad, and talking about the plan for the weekend. And after, when everything is done, Jordy goes home, sometimes cooks, sometimes his wife cooks. So, and after, we have the afternoon to relax, to enjoy with the family. So pretty simple.
I see what you did there. You didn't say she cooks. You said you cook, she cooks. Man,
she cooks too.
You're a smart man. You're gonna live long and prosper, as they say.
That's the
goal. Boy, that's smart. Somewhere along the way. Yeah, mama didn't raise no fool. So looking forward to the thing that people say now is unfinished business in sports. Clearly, you guys had some unfinished business given the end of last season. Just mindset going into this season.
First of all, I mean, we lost last year, but if we look through, it was a pretty tough season. So to make it to the final, I think is an accomplishment. Obviously, we want to always win, so we are disappointed, but we have to look past that. And for this year is work on what we didn't work last year, what didn't work, and put everything in our power to get better. First, to go to the final again, and after that, to go win it.
I mean, this club's been in the playoffs every year
Yeah.
since they started, and but 3 of the 4 championships that are in the
Very, very.
finals.
Mhm.
So that it's pretty good, I would say.
Yeah.
For any, I saw something that said that out of all the professional sports, the Sounders, there might be one more team. I want to say the Montreal Canadiens, but have just as equal record in
Mhm.
terms of always going to the playoffs. I mean, that's a heck of a mindset from an organization, of a culture.
It is, and that I like with the Sounders. We play all the games to win, and since Mets came, that was his thing, and I love that.
One more serious, and then I got a couple of funny ones for you. Just the Black Lives Matter, just the connection. Because here's the deal: the oppression and racism is worldwide, but the
Mhm.
Black Lives Matter really was about America, but then it became a worldwide. Can you just talk about how you embraced that and how you guys were part of that?
I mean, we are professional athletes, so as long as we can, we have to try to use our voices to change things or make people change the way they think. But I also believe Black Lives Matters, that's for sure. But all life matters, and to say Black Lives Matter, everybody has to understand that is a mindset for me, I will say, and that start in our house, the way we educate ourselves, our kids, and to have changes is not one person, but is everybody. So yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it right there in the word.
Mm.
There has to be attention to this one
Yeah.
so that all can be paid attention to in
Yeah.
terms of deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so who's faster, you or Nuhu?
Nah, no, clearly.
Okay. Who's better taking penalty kicks? You, Nuhu, or Nuhu? I don't want to pick it on him, but I just,
No, that's my guy.
yeah.
I don't know. I would say practice doesn't count. It's on games. We have to see. So I cannot say right now. I would say me.
Okay. Who's the better tackler? Let's say backtracking, right?
Mhm.
Who's the better backtracker, you or him, without making a foul?
I would say me for sure.
Okay, all right. Who's got the better? Who's the best crosser? And out of the defenders, who's the better? Who has the best cross?
I would say. I mean, lately was Kelvin, but before he was Joving when he was playing left back for sure.
Right. Yeah, the Sounders have been lucky. They're smart to get.
Brad was good too, so he's kind of equal.
Well, Evans or Smith?
Also, but we go too far. If we go far, I will have a long list.
Okay. Fair enough. We'll go with the. All right. I don't want to get into the picking the favorite players and all those kinds of things. But let's go back in terms of the Major League Soccer.
Mhm.
How has the game changed in terms of its speed and the technicality of it?
Since I get there, we say right now is very technical, very more than before, because there is obviously new coaches with new thoughts. Most likely to like Spanish coaches, so they have a different approach. But now it's more technical and probably physical too.
Yeah, and the speed has the speed.
Yeah, speed, yeah, for sure. But I would say before there was more speed.
I guess I should. What I mean by speed, I mean in terms of like we talked about the transition from defense to offense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean with the Spanish coaches is all about that. Defense good, and when you get the ball, try to score quick. So that's a lot of speed now. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess our time is up. We'll have to bring you back because 30 minutes is not enough. Maybe we can see.
Yeah, I feel like he went quick.
Yeah. No, thank you for just having a conversation. We'll have to bring you back, and then good luck on the upcoming season, and stay healthy, stay safe, and you're right. You alternate that cooking and make sure.
No, thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and of course, I'm open to come back. So whenever you want, just hit me up. I'm gonna see you soon.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jordy.
Fans too.
Yeah, there you go. There he is, Jordy Delem, midfielder for the Seattle Sounders and Martinique international player. So there you go. You got a little insight in terms of what it's like to be a professional player and what it's like to share the house duties. Don't be no fool. So we're going to go on break. Lars and I will come back, and we're going to get deep into this player-employee relationship. Mazvita Maraire. This is Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio. We'll be back.
Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
This is the news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Men's college basketball Blue Bloods earned elite status through multiple championships, sustained traditions of winning, and revolving doors of star players through their programs. John Marshall of the AP reports. But a new group of teams has inched closer to basketball royalty and has remained relatively steady, even as the coronavirus pandemic has wreaked havoc on the sport. Top-ranked Gonzaga, number 5 Villanova, and a handful of other programs may not have the historical resumes to compare to the Blue Bloods, but consistent success over the past decade, in some cases more, puts them in a new category of dominating teams. Gonzaga and Villanova have had little trouble navigating the stops and starts of a pandemic season. The Zags have plowed through one of the nation's toughest schedules, beating Kansas, West Virginia, Iowa, and Virginia, all ranked at the time, while turning their conference games into laughters.
And that's your news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
When feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or frustrated, what does self-care look like? It looks like doing something to clear your mind, such as meditating, painting, making a playlist, going outside. You can also stay connected with friends and loved ones. If you feel alone, look for an online community with shared interests or volunteer to help people in need. And use virtual sessions to talk with a mental health professional. They're here to help. If you need support, call the Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. Brought to you by the state of Washington.
On Rainier Avenue Radio.world, look for the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show. I'm Dennis Weaver, your good food guide and host, helping you to feel good and look good, and who wouldn't want some of that? All that and more from the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Stories, songs, and guests. Begin living the organic good food life, and the rest of your life just may be the best of your life. Hose up, baby, to your health.
The 7th annual Jackson Street Jazz Walks virtual concert will be held February 27th and 28th at 7 p.m. It's free to the public, with all donations benefiting the Central Area Senior Center. Join us for the Delvon Lamar Organ Trio, Eugenie Jones, Alex Dugdale, the Devon and Donovan Lewis Drum Off, and more. For more information, please visit jacksonstreetjazz.org. That's www.jacksonstreetjazz.org.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Don't forget to log on www.rainieravenue radio.world.
All right, we are back. We, as in Seattle Sports Weekly, me, Mazvita Maraire, he, Lars Hanson of the Dawg Report, them, as in Daniel Bellis, as our host. You like that? A little smooth. And so what'd you think? Hey, man, what a cool guy, huh?
Jordy, that was an awesome interview, man. He was very transparent, but you can tell he's a guy who doesn't like to talk about himself, but you got him to be comfortable talking about himself by going kind of using other teammates and things like that. So it was a good interview. I loved it.
Yeah, and so all y'all listening, it isn't so much like, oh, that's a great interview, but it's just incredible how the athletes are real individuals. And it's one of those things that we try to do here, you and I, you know what I mean? And it's just so it's like beyond the numbers. You know what I mean? And
Humanizing.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. Actually, the human side of them and realizing what happens because, yeah, they are. They're, a lot of the fears and all those things are kind of. We have them all. All right, you know what? I'm gonna throw you a curveball just for the fun of it because I can. All right, I'm gonna say names to you, and I want you to tell me if you know anything about these guys. All right, now. Tom Lambert. Okay. Gabriel Nelson. All right. Jack Pittinger. All right. So you're fired. You're fired because those are all the WIA athletes of the week. And I did those in football. So some of y'all are like, well, what about the rest of the list? Well, you can turn into Metro Sports Weekly tonight with Pat McCarthy and I, and we'll give you the rest of the list. But I gave that one to you, Lars, Mr. Dawg Report, football, recruiting, national, local. And you don't know those guys?
Well, Gabe, I was going to say, Gabe's the walk-on at UW. And I'm not. Are the other two also walking on at UW? Because I know Gabe is for sure. I wasn't sure about the other two. The other two sounded familiar. I just wasn't sure if they all three were walking on at UW or if it was just Gabe that was the UW walk on.
Look at you. I'll give you points for that. Because the other ones really aren't see, this is what happens when you try to be slick. Yeah, Lambert's a senior. Yeah, because Gabriel Nelson, as you said, he's a Shorecrest senior. So
yeah, he's walking around at UW as a running back, I think.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, once again, you prove your wealth. All right. Woo-wee. Where you want to go? You want to go right into the Mariners? You want to talk about the Huskies? Oh, you're ready. All right, let's do this. Let's go. Mr. D Money, do we have the I loaded it up late, but the Scotch service after the Kevin Mather comments.
I like to start out, make a couple comments, and hopefully we can get into baseball. But the last 2 days have been extremely difficult for everybody in our organization: players, coaches, staff, all employees, and everyone that's got pride in being a Mariner was hurt by that inaccurate comments that were made. And for me personally, I got to say I was very angry. I was embarrassed. And I'm frustrated, and I'm frustrated because I know how hard we are working as a group, coaches, strength coaches, players, front office, and everybody involved, how hard we're working to create a culture that we're proud of. And I feel very strong we've done a lot to do that. Again, and that's why the last couple of days have been so hurtful. That being said, I made the comment when we opened up camp. I love this team. I really do. And the reason I say that is because the character of the group of people that we have in our clubhouse around our team, starting with the players, it's a special group. And we talk about how talented they are, and they're young and they're coming, but it's a special group. I see the frustration on their faces, and rightly so. So, that's what has been hard to deal with here the last couple of days. But going forward, we've got 5 days of camp under our belt, and camp has been going great. Love what I've seen out of our young pitching. We got our full squad in today. Position players are all here. So I'd like to, if we can, I know it's going to take some time, but let's get back to the job at hand. That for me and our coaching staff and our players, we got a lot to prove on the field. We have a lot of opportunity for young players. We have an exciting team to watch, and it's a team that our fan base is going to be really excited about as they watch these young players continue to grow and more add to the mix. So with that, I'll take a few questions, but I would like to, best I can. I appreciate certainly John Stanton's comments yesterday. I know Jerry just got done talking to y'all. My job is to make sure our clubhouse is in a really good spot. Our teams, our players are ready to go when the season starts, and that's where my focus is right now. with that, I'll take some questions. Yeah, I think, first of all, I've talked to our players a lot. It started the other night with some phone calls when things got out and started to realize the magnitude of what was happening and the number of people that were affected by the comments that were made. So I've talked to a number of our players, sat down with a number of other players yesterday as our position players are coming in to do the physicals, things like that. The one thing I will say, very grateful on how our guys have handled this. Really, really am. And it doesn't surprise me at all. It really doesn't. That's the way they're wired. One of our core values here is do the right thing. And if we do that and can be consistent about it, we get good results down the road. So, like I said, our players are frustrated. I certainly want them to voice their frustrations. Let's talk it out. But at the end of the day, the people that our players deal with on an everyday basis, myself, coaching staff, the training staff, the analysts, the scouts, the front office people, they know who we are. It was comments made by one person, and it's not reflective of how we treat our people here and how we think about them. So I am grateful that our players have handled it the way they have.
All right, there it is. Look, let me go on record. The Seattle Mariners have some of the most amazing people that work for the organization. Kelly Monroe, Tim Heavily. I should find out how to say his name, Tim Heavily. But, and they're just a class organization in terms of people that are connected to what's going on. But the question, and what's going on in terms of the field and then your experience, right? We've talked about, I think, the Mariners, their PR department, their marketing department and PR department is as good as any. I think their marketing department is one of the best, because if you have not participated in the playoff for 19 years, right? And you somehow find ways to get fans engaged and everything else, and the fan experience, it's pretty amazing. So now, Lars, is this now why? Like, can you separate the two?
Well, I think you can, and in a way, I think almost maybe the way to patch things up is to combine them, because the issue is even when you're talking about keeping fans interested for, without the playoffs for 19 years, you're talking about making money without actually having a reason to justify making money for almost 2 decades. So it's like you're taking money from fans who are trying to be hopeful about a team that used to be pretty good. 2001, the most wins in MLB history in a season. It's like, and they're also the only organization to not be in a World Series. So, it's like, wow, for one good year, and now we go 2 decades without anything. You owe it to the fans to be more than just dollars and cents, even though it is a business, and that's really what this comes down to. We both know that. But there's a way to go about handling business, and there's a way to not go about handling business. Kevin Mather is the not way to do it. Kevin Martinez in the marketing department could be the way to go moving forward to pass things up in the right direction.
Okay, let's get into it. Is Mather an isolated incident?
I would, from everything that Scott Service has said and Jerry DiPoto, you have to view it as basically it was basically Mather and Stanton, and then everybody else in the Mariners organization. So it's like Mather and Stanton are basically the ownership, CEO, and then Scott Service, the players, and everybody else are over here. What Stanton has to prove is that he also isn't Mather's clone, and now that he's in the CEO role with Mather gone, if he doesn't bring in somebody else to be a holistic change from what Mather's perception was, and what I would assume would be Stan's driving force, because Stan's the one telling Mather, hey, we need to make money here, right? Because as the owner, he needs to make money. He took it over from Nintendo, who used to have a different philosophy of how to run the Mariners organization more, and that's why you had Ichiro stay and get the contracts that he did, because of what he meant to the organization. even though the team wasn't doing great and et cetera, it's kind of like Felix in the same sense where he could have left town a long time ago, but he stayed because of what he meant. And again, those are two people, again, a Venezuelan and a Japanese player, neither of which would be, Kevin Mather would see dollar signs in their eyes, but that's it. And
all right, let's go back. Sorry, because there was a lot that you put out there that's worth kind of dissecting a little bit. So you're saying there's a gap between Jerry Deporter. So first of all, we're talking the business aspect of it, but there's insidious comments about bad English by a couple of the players. There's just they're racial, insensitive, and hurtful comments. There's just no doubt about that.
Right.
And so that is why they had to make the move. And I don't know if it's even worth this. Like, why did it take them so long? But fair enough. Within a 48-hour period, I'll recap in a quick 30 seconds. Sunday night, this viral video that Kevin Mathers, he spoke at a Bellevue Rotary Club dinner, and then he fundraiser breakfast, and then he said these comments about the organization business-like, which is what we're talking about, which is keeping players in the minor leagues, so you don't have to pay them once they get up to the major league in terms of service contract. That's a business thing, and we'll get back to that in just a second. But then there were the comments about Julio Rodriguez can't speak English, she's terrible English, and all the insidious racial stuff that people say about immigrants and refugees, basically. I mean, just to leave it at that. So he says all those things on Sunday, and then he actually apologized Sunday night on behalf of the Mariner organization, and the Mariners finally had a press conference. There it is. How did he get that? D Money, my man. So there's the video right there. So he in the end, the Mariners decided to part ways with him, and so let's go back to the business end of it, right? So trying to keep salaries down, any big deal there?
No, I mean, that's nothing new. That's across baseball. That's now, if you want to change that that's a totally different topic, right? But that's nothing new.
Okay, so we get that out of the way. Now I set the tone in terms of the insensitive comments. So do you have to bring in somebody new?
I personally don't think so. I understand the rationale for why people think that it would be a good decision and why it would optically be bad if you just promoted somebody else from within. But what's to say that because the last time that's exactly what Stan did. When Stan became the owner in 2017, he promoted Mather to CEO, and then Kevin Martinez got a bump to Senior VP of Marketing and Communications. And what the problem should have been, Mather shouldn't have gotten promoted, and Martinez should have got the CEO job. That's the problem. So it's like, just don't let one bad decision beget another bad decision in two ways. One, because Kevin Martinez, I think, would be a phenomenal appointment as CEO. He's earned it. He's been in the Mariners organization a long time. But going outside the organization, bringing in somebody new to kind of just clean the slate, start new, that could also work, but that could also backfire if it turns out that person is Kevin Mather, just even with a thicker shade of makeup on.
I don't know. Those are bad choice of words. You say don't hire a black person. So Brown.
No, that's not what I'm
put it out there. So what you left us with. I know you didn't, but in these comments, the thing is I think you have to bring somebody in. I think it has to be a courageous moment for John Stanton to say, okay, I got it. What I'm going to do is bring in this new person. I'm going to remove myself, and I trust in this person to reorganize the organization, right? Mm-hmm. There has to be. Otherwise, he has to take a step away because it's his culture that he set there. So it doesn't matter who he brings in. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Right. It's his culture.
Right, exactly. Right, but what I was going to say, though, is the fact that even though it's in the interim, Stanton took over the CEO role from Mather, so he consolidated the power.
I got it.
So what's to say that he doesn't just keep himself as the president and owner and CEO, and not bring anybody in and just have it holistically be his ship?
Well, it is, and the thing is then there's no change. In 2021, we know that that's not the. You know what? That might have worked in 1985 or something like that, but not with where we're at. That's clearly like no, because as we've talked about and continue to talk about, we know that the reason people behave in a certain way in a culture, a certain way, is because there is a culture that allows them to behave that way. And unless you change that culture, you can do all the rotating, you know what I mean, the musical chairs, but it's not going to change. He's not going to sell the team, right?
No. God, no, not at all. They were one of the few teams that made money or did better than most last year. So no, it's a financially lucrative opportunity. He just has to keep making it so.
Can Major League Baseball come in and say that he should sell the team like they did with NBA with Don Sterling?
That could be an intriguing option. As we pull the curtain back a little bit, as the person that you mentioned is in the commissioner's office now, could he put a little bit of weight on and say, hey, maybe this should be a guy that we need to sell and get a right organization group in?
Or is it that maybe all there has to be is some type of action from MLB, right? And some investigation, and then them coming out with a statement? Would that be enough?
That's just it's statements these days. Kevin Mather, he has a statement right there. What do statements honestly do at the end of the day? Really nothing. So, because what we're talking about here, if you look at the Mariners organization, the amount of investment they make in the Dominican Republic in their academies and scouting internationally and like last season with the Black Lives Matter movement, their players were one of the very few outspoken teams, and everybody in the organization was behind it, I would assume, except for Kevin Mather, but he just didn't say it at the time. And then the question is, well, was John Stanton on Team Mather, or was he on Team Service and the entire what the organization's doing? Because I don't think you actually really need to make the holistic changes. Either Stanton's out as owner and him and Mather go exit stage right together, or there's nothing really to change in Mather, which is one bad apple and a totally otherwise fine cock.
Okay, so
and I have a hard time believing that.
All right, going back to what I was saying, it's the action of Major League Baseball setting the tone moving forward, right? Because remember Marge Schott with the Cincinnati Reds when she came and said those things. Remember that back in the so yeah. My thing is that if you come in MLB, yes, you're placating, and yes, it's like but there's precedence of a commissioner forcing an owner to sell the team. I'm not necessarily saying that, he should sell the Mariners. We're talking billionaires. When billionaires get in a room and behind a closed door, you and I can't comprehend that discussion.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So it's I think action by MLB, the commissioner's office. I think that action by MLB Players Association, and they are looking into that in terms of, the whole it's business. And I don't buy this thing about, they went out and got the Dominican players and the brown players and the blue players. Okay, so you went across the ocean and got a bunch of people, labor force. What does that say? Does it sound familiar? You got a bunch of people in the farm. Hello? Like that doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, okay. It actually is the same thing.
Well, it's just fancier. It's if I'm being, and again, I'm not. Let me be very clear about what I'm not going down this road. But it's saying it's treating your slaves a lot better. You're giving them a nice academy, a bed, a beautiful thing. You're not beating them. But otherwise, what's really the difference? Like
it's the exploitation of labor force, and absolutely. Now, look again. We're talking about the difference between the gulf between Mather and Stanton on that side of the organization. To me, there's nothing to do with the other side.
Exactly.
With DePorto. I've had lunch with Scott Service. I've sat across from him and had lunch. And not, it was one of the most relaxed discussions because Dick Fane was there. It was one of their annual media, they do the press conference and then then the players and, and staff stay around. And you could tell he was just relaxed about everybody. In fact, excuse me, him and I talked about when the whole long ball and all of that stuff. Remember Chick Dig the long ball and, he was laughing. We're all laughing. So for me, I think it's really important to hold the organization accountable as a whole in terms of who is creating that culture. And that's why we played that comment from Scott Service. All Service wants to do is win because his longevity with the team is tied to getting in the playoffs after 20 years, right? You know what I mean?
Well, but is it though? Because is it more to be a good soldier or to get in the playoffs? Because I would honestly think it's actually more of a 50-50 mix than it is actually. Because if it was all about winning and losing, I mean, the Mariners, you would kind of have to just look at it and say, well, you haven't made the playoffs in 19 years, so it's more than just whoever the manager is.
Well, that's the whole point. But any manager, what's that?
I was gonna say the culture is on Stanton.
Any manager that comes in there is always going to want to win.
Yes.
Now, anywhere, right? So you come in with the intent to win. Now, in the organization then sets the culture about we're only going to give you these players. We're going to spend about all of, but every manager wants to win because here's the deal: if you win and they let you go, you can get a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
If you don't win, you don't get a job.
Yeah, it's significantly harder for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, so any manager is always going to be with the players, right? That's where, but the organization pays his check and they tell him what to do. Exactly. That's the nuance that's there. And it's pretty, I was reading Messier, the Marc Messier book. And it was interesting. They're talking about now when Messier left, Marc Messier, when he left Edmonton Oilers and went to New York Rangers, and how the coach was actually instrumental in terms, Glenn Sather there, instrumental in getting rid of the players. That shift, like he liked the players, but the owner was like, no, you got to get rid of the players. It's like, there's nothing I can do. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say I'm not going to get rid of, the player. The manager's like, okay, cool. We'll get rid of the player and you. You know what I mean? So, all right, we got a couple more minutes. So what else is happening this week? We have, oh boy. Huskies play tonight. Husky men's basketball.
Do they?
Oh, there you go. Yes, they have a game against Arizona State tonight. The second game in 72 hours, correct?
Yes, and that's a totally separate issue. The fact that the Pac-12 can't get its scheduling right, but that's nothing new.
You're on lockdown when it comes to the Pac-10. Because I didn't even want to touch the fact that what do they do with the football schedule? I'll give you a bone.
Yeah, they don't even have it together yet.
There it is. That's about it.
Everybody else does. The ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big 12 already released their schedules. Pac-12. They don't have a commissioner, so they don't. And the sitting commissioner is completely incompetent, so they really don't even have a direction. So trying to figure out, think about that. The reason why they're probably delaying schedules, the Pac-12 direction is just lost.
Yeah, Lars, a question to you. Do you need, is that why? Do you need the Pac-10 commissioner to?
I wouldn't think so, but I think it's. I think it's more of it speaks to the holistic problem of just like if you don't have, you announce that Larry Scott's going to be out, but he's still technically on the job until you find a replacement, and it sounds like they want their replacement in by the summer or late April or late spring. So I'm thinking like they really want this change done, and they're trying to also jam in getting the Pac-12 conference tournament planned and done, and I think is having lack of leadership at the front is really showing.
All right. Okay. So you went. See, there you go. You put your stuff in there. All I asked you was, can you make the schedule without a commissioner? So
Yes.
clearly, the answer is they are trying. They are not. They've chosen not to. Okay. And I thought breaking news about Russell Wilson. Nothing. So all we know is this: we do not know who the Pac-12 football schedule. The University of Washington Husky plays tonight. Arizona State. The women also play tomorrow, and I'm a big fan of the UW. I think Jody Wynn is doing an amazing job of coaching. And all right, so we will be back next week. I am Mazvita Maraire, stuffs up at CascadiaSports.net. He is Lars Hanson of the Dawg Report. I want to thank the Seattle Sounders, Matt Winter and Alex Caulfield, Kelly Schultz, and of course Jordy Delem for hopping on and giving us a little insight on what happens in the life of a football player, especially from the French island, Caribbean island of Martinique. So there we go. We'll be back. You'll be back next week, Lars? All right. We'll be back next week. I'm Mazvita Maraire. Get a chance. We're in Metro Sports Weekly tonight at 7 p.m. All right. That's it. We out. Thank you all for listening. Appreciate you.
Rainier Avenue Radio